Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's the Full 40 with Chris, Rob, and Willie, part of the Nova Insider Network. It is Super Bowl Sunday morning, 11 a.m. on Sunday, February 12th. I don't know why I had
Is it Sunday?
I am massively hungover. Linda drove home last night from the game. I have tried everything: water, food, vitamins, banana, whatever it could be to try and cure this hangover. I have finally resorted to putting some alcohol in the old coffee, and we're going the hair of the dog route now. So this is how we're going to live. Okay. We're just going to live in this world today. I've already prepped my meal. I'm making a big steak dinner. It's my Valentine's Day dinner. Also my Super Bowl dinner. It kind of works out both ways.
Two birds, one stone. I like that.
That's right. I got 3 prime steaks. I'm pretty pumped about this.
Chris, what's your Ken Palm efficiency for steak cooking?
Oh, it's top.
And holiday crossover.
It's top notch. We're talking top notch stuff right here. So I got the cast iron skillets all seasoned. They're ready to go. I got 2 prime ribeyes and a prime porterhouse. This is gonna be a hell of an evening for me.
Bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
That's what they said.
There was a phase in our friendship where like our entire group of friends just tried to talk in like idioms like that, like just the entire time, like, and it would be like things like, "Oh, I'll circle back with you on those bird in the hand and 2 in the bush." Like,
I mean, the early bird gets the worm. Am I right?
Yeah,
as it does.
Second mouse gets the cheese, though.
That's right. I like that.
Lesser used one.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
All right. So, a big week from a 40,000 foot perspective.
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday. But we got so much to cover that's not a men's basketball team. So we're going to start there, right? And we're going to start with
politics.
We were going to start with the NBA, but instead we're going to start with like the record setter of all time, Maddy Siegrist, who is Alpha Dog of the Week, Shaq Fit Man Play of the Week, like all the things. Like she's got all the awards. We got to start with her record-setting performance yesterday, which was unbelievable. So the Villanova women's team at the Pavilion yesterday also played Seton Hall. Seton Hall, by the way, 15-9 coming into that matchup. Not a bad team by any metric. Probably going to make the women's NIT if I had to guess. A good team. We blow them out 99-65. So a good team performance all around. 99 points. It's crazy. And of that 99, Maddy Siegrist scores 50 with 10 boards to boot and does it on 20 of 26 field goals, including 4 of 6 from deep, 2 assists, 2 steals, 0 turnovers. The stat line is just absolutely absurd. And Maddy continues to cement her GOAT status with this absolutely insane performance. And Willie, I think you have like a list of like additional records here that we got to run through.
I'm working on pulling that up right now, but
all right.
But yeah, so it was the Big East single game record, right? Single game scoring record, which is incredible considering all the people who have played in the Big East, right? Does this include? This includes like old UConn, even when they were out and stuff like that.
Yeah. All time.
That's pretty crazy because there's been obviously so much talent that's come through the Big East. When you look at UConn, not particularly Villanova, but just absolutely phenomenal. And like you said, the height of efficiency there is so sick. And it's, I don't know, it's one of these things in my mind. It's like, oh, it's cool. Like Maddy's such a great scorer and she got the Villanova record, but to get the 50 piece and to get the all Big East record, like that's stuff that turns some heads across the country too. She's definitely going to get some more looks for Player of the Year.
Yeah. So what we have is, I'm just going through. Obviously, she's Villanova all-time leading scorer. Broke the program record for Shelley Pennyfather, who had 44 points. So smashed that 38-year-old record. the women's.
She broke that
basketball-
record, by the way. Sorry, she broke that record with like 6-7 minutes left in
Yeah.
the game. Maddy didn't even play like the last like 4 or
She
5
played
minutes.
32 minutes, yeah. And then she beat the Big East women's basketball all-time regular season record, which, like, once again, we talk about this includes UConn, so this includes like Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, Tina Charles, Maya Moore, like Katie Lou Samuelson, all these fucking ballers who have played here, who have played in the Big East year over year, and Maddy Siegrist is the best of them all, or at least the highest scoring of them all.
It's absolutely unreal. Yeah.
And I thought it was cool at the game last night. They actually they brought it up, they honored it, and then they put it up on the big screen and showed it. And then she was there, and they camera panned in on her. She was there. She had this like sick, by the way, she had this sick like varsity letter jacket with a big V on it. It was awesome. And she's sitting there, and the whole crowd, and it was like 75%, 80% full yesterday, standing ovation for Maddy, which was awesome, and it's the least that everyone can do. So it was quite the moment there, and she's obviously she's had quite the career, but
Yeah.
she's also had quite the season and quite the day yesterday.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Nicole and I were talking about this the other day. We're like, what's like the draft look like in the WNBA? Because like obviously she's a great player. Like, is she good enough to get drafted? And it sounds like from us looking into this casually, like she is projected to be drafted. There's only 12 teams in the WNBA, so the draft is a lot smaller. But she is projected at this point to be like a first round pick.
Yeah.
So again, you're basically one of the top 10 players in the country, which we know, but it seems like that will translate to a professional career too.
Yeah, looking at an ESPN one right now, they have her at 11 going to the Dallas Wings, but this was also 4 days ago before she dropped a 50 ball. So I'd imagine we're going to see at least, a top 10 pick. I feel pretty confident about. I don't think she's going to catch a Leah Boston, but I just imagine this 50 and 10 is insane, and that on efficiency is insane, and it's just like it doesn't matter what level of basketball you're doing that's absolutely insane, and she's doing that in Big East basketball on the highest stage in women's basketball. She's an absolute animal. I don't think we've ever had a guy score 50 at all as well, so I think it's just the highest across Villanova in Villanova basketball history. Maybe Arizin did it. I have to like touch.
She beat Arizin.
Okay.
And I believe the individual record was Shelly Pennefather, who had a 44-point game. And obviously Maddy just looked at all of Shelly Pennefather's records and said, "This is mine now."
Yeah.
Maddy is the queen.
If for some reason that Maddy were to stay a fifth year, which she's eligible to do, because of the COVID, because she's still one of those COVID, she's kind of in the COVID era. So she's technically could stay another year. If she did, which sounds unlikely given her draft status, but if she did, it would be she has all of the tools to be basically like an all-time NCAA leading scorer type thing.
Correct.
Like records that'll never be broken type stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. Right now she's like just doing quick maths, like 1,000 points behind Kelsey Plum, but there's still the rest of the season, Big East tournament and NCAA tournament to go. Assume she gets another 300 points, let's say, in the next couple. She would start the next year like in the top 25 of all time leading scorers, and if she continued, you assume she's improving. She's only going to get better. We're looking at a season this way where she would smash Kelsey Plum's record.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, talking about the NCAA tournament, just by pivoting a little bit to that, the Villanova women's team is ranked top 15, and that actually showed up so just like they do on the men's side, they do their like bracket preview where they preview the top 4 teams in each region, at least to this point in the season. They just did that the other day on the women's side, and Villanova was positioned for a 4 seed. So with by the way, Villanova has plenty of opportunities left to keep improving their status. So we're going to see how this kind of goes. But they have UConn coming up again and at home. And candidly, we're playing better than UConn right now. And played them tight at UConn. So that's an opportunity there to get a big time signature win. And if we keep knocking teams off, it's not an easy schedule to finish the season. So if we keep knocking teams off, like this team could be a top 3, maybe even a 2 seed by the time it's all said and done. It might be tough to crack the 2 line, but the 3 line is absolutely in play.
Yeah, beating UConn and winning the Big East tournament, I feel like that we're knocking on a 3-2 seed.
Yeah. So
Too cool.
So there you go. There you have it there. So now let's transition into the NBA, which was the story of the week until Maddy dropped the 50 piece. So the NBA has been absolutely crazy at the trade deadline here. And Villanova was like the dead center of the trade deadline for some reason. It's kind of weird. So first of all, the Knicks were rumored in every Villanova player, every single Villanova player, Bridges, Bay, Hart, whatever. Every Villanova player had some rumor swirling around them at the Knicks. And I was just like, are they going to, is Jay lining up to succeed Thibodeau here? So
streets are talking. Streets are talking.
There was smoke. There's definitely smoke, but in reality, what happened was both Bridges and Hart and Arch got traded. Hart comes from the Blazers to the Knicks to play with Jalen Brunson. Unfortunately, in that trade, Arch, who wasn't getting much playing time, goes the other direction.
That's a nice way to put it.
As part of the trade, but now Hart is like a bench player who gets good minutes, 26 minutes a game, right? Like 25.
Yeah.
20.
I'd guess he's going to take Quentin Grimes' spot. Grimes has not been doing anything.
Did you guys see the game yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Josh was a key reserve coming off the bench for them. Was playing down the stretch. Hit a huge shot with like 2 minutes left. Josh is a Tibbs player through and through. Tibbs loves
100%.
So
great
Josh,
match made in heaven.
Yeah. If Josh isn't starting, Josh will still be playing 28, 30 minutes and be on the floor in crunch time more than likely.
Yeah.
The reason we say this is if you don't follow the NBA that much, Tom Thibodeau is basically one of these coaches who's known to be a huge hard ass, is known to like work his guys like super hard in practice, and basically wants people who are going to shut up and just like bust their ass. And
he'd be a great college coach.
He'd be a great college coach. Yeah, exactly. But like all these Villanova players, and this is one of the things I wanted to mention, is like this is part of the reason Josh actually gets shipped around, I would argue, is that he's a guy who can do a lot of things, who is willing to play a lot of roles, like rolls up his sleeves and just does all that shit that you don't have to like worry about him coaching or buying in. So by showing all of that, like, yeah, he's going to curry Tibbs' favor. Like Brunson's the same way. Bridges is very similar in a lot of respects of like can do a number of different things on the court, is going to bust their ass. And as a result, that just like makes these players more valuable when you're talking trade deadline, because you can slot them into any team here. So yeah, it'll be cool for Josh. Portland is like a weird team. And the Knicks, it should be a cool role for him. It should be a playoff team. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So hopefully there's a little bit of stickiness there, but I think he has a contract's up, but he's a player option, I think, for
his contract is very weird. But yeah, so the short of it is contract's up. He has a player option. So he has a player option for $13 million, but it's not fully guaranteed. So it kind of like also goes towards the team. It was like a weird thing that he signed 2 years ago because he wanted a big payday, but like he had injury concerns. So there was like a little bit of trepidation around it. So he signed like a 1 year prove it. If they like it, then he gets an opt-in. And then if he opts in, he has the power then to do whatever. Realistically, what I think he'll do is opt out and then try to get a longer term contract. Yeah. So instead of having the player option, go for like 3 years, $45 million. I'm sure that's what he's like looking to do. He's bounced around a bunch. I'm sure he would love to stay in New York. So
sure.
Yeah. And he's bounced around not because he's not valuable, it's because he's so valuable.
Because he is valuable, yeah.
It's because he is valuable, and the teams he have been on haven't been good enough to really like utilize him in the way. So other teams are like, oh, we can utilize him. So it's like a weird thing of where he's just too valuable, so he's always going to bounce around.
He's a great guy. He's really a good fit for this Knicks team. They need a player just like him right now. And so the match made in heaven with him and Brunson. Down to as simple as Brunson knows where he likes the ball, right? Like it's just something that'll work, I think, really well. The Knicks seem to be, so this is one of the interesting things about the Knicks is that for years, the Knicks were just shuttling in overrated stars who weren't leaders and whatever. And it seems like they've just made an organizational shift towards this like priority on culture. And it seemed to work out with Brunson, who they brought in for culture reasons, in addition to the fact that he's an excellent basketball player. And now they seem to be pushing their chips into the middle of the table on this culture thing. And as we said, it works great for Tom Tibbs. So I think that I think this is going to be a good fit for them. I feel like the Knicks have an opportunity. Look, do I think the Knicks are a championship roster? No. But do I think the Knicks are going to surprise a lot of people because they're going to play a little bit more of that tougher ball and actually win some more games than you'd expect, or maybe win an extra playoff round than you might expect going in? Yeah, I think they will. Yeah. So this is a really good match for them, and I'm excited to see this like new look Knicks. I think this is a team that New York can get excited about.
I think people are buying into it already. Like obviously Josh Hart is like a pretty likable personality and has developed kind of like a cult following a little bit based on some of his high five antics and facial expressions throughout the years. And then obviously the attitude he brings to the court is pretty solid. But yeah, like fans on Reddit were like already going crazy about him. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. And I do while we're on the Knicks, not trade related, but like I do want to talk about Brunson because we haven't done a heart monitor in like fucking forever. Yeah. Brunson in 2023, like since the turn of the year, is just like on absolute fire, which continued last night. Like he scored 38 last night, but that's just like regular happenstance through January and February. And this is like not a small sample size of games. I mean, this is probably at this point, like 25 games, something like that. He's averaging like a touch under 30 points a game. He's like 29, something like that a game on like pretty good efficiency. He's shooting like, I haven't done the total average, but I don't know. His field goal percentage is right around 50, if not over. His 3-point percentage is 45 plus. His free throw percentage is over 80. So he's like a 50-40-80 right now in 2023 and just absolutely lighting up. So hyper efficient, scoring a ton. Knicks are doing they're doing all right. But it's, I don't know,
not an all-star. You know,
somehow not an all-star. It's total ridiculous.
It's just an absurd
but it's, I don't know. Brunson just, he started off the year hot and you're like, all right, this is cool. Like he's living up to the contract, but he just keeps delivering and delivering and delivering. He scored 41 against the Clippers a few weeks ago, and he got totally hosed in that because they made an awesome comeback, and he had this like floater down the lane which should have sealed it, and then Clips hit a buzzer tying shot, which is garbage. But I don't know.
I feel like we're just, like, a
crazy.
couple weeks away from like a Jalen Brunson 50 ball. Like we're just a couple weeks away from it because he's been carrying the Knicks, and it's just, I mean, he's proven not just that the contract's worth it, that he's worth way more than the contract. He's already proven that right
It's a steal. The contract's a steal.
And the contract value declines over time. So the Knicks have to be so excited. They're paying him like 25 now, and it goes down to like 22 by the end of the contract.
Crazy.
And yeah, I think, I mean, it's so funny because like we all watched him, and like I think I had full faith that Jalen Brunson would be in the NBA for 10 to 12 years. I didn't think he'd be this level, yes, totally. But then when he did it, as he got better and better, you're kind of like, oh, this is like, knowing how Jalen plays, like this is sustainable. So like by the playoffs of last year, right before when Luka went out, I was like, I don't know, Jalen might be able to just like do this. And then he did it in the, like, that's the thing, on a national scale, he did it in the playoffs first. Yeah. It was a playoff series that he's basically single-handedly won versus the Jazz. And that's where I was like, oh no, this is very real. Like he's not just fun. Like this is like, he's very real. Yeah, I mean, just shout out to JB, absolute shout out. And it's interesting, kind of funny that this all happened while we were retiring this jersey. So like the trade breaks while it's happening, that you get the live reaction of him getting hurt.
Oh yeah.
And obviously it sucked because Arch was also sent in that trade, and Arch was also back on campus. So he had to deal with that. I hadn't really seen any videos of Arch, which good, just keep it that way. Like let him handle that his own way.
There was an element of Arch, though, where I heard that there was some rumor that he was going to get waived after the deal,
which didn't. That makes sense.
But. And he didn't. So there was like an element of I'm still here. So it's like a little bit of like, hey, you're still playing in the association. So
he's just always going to be a 15th man. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
But he's a good 15th man.
And on the topic of Brunson, who knew that just being really good at basketball is just kind of important to being good at basketball? I just
Sometimes it's pretty simple.
He's not. I don't know if you know though. He's not very athletic, so I don't know if it's going to translate. It's just. I don't know.
Just like being really good at the sport is actually a recipe for being good at the sport.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Who knew?
Yeah. Should we talk Bridges?
We gotta talk a little.
Other New York resident now.
We got to talk Bridges, who it's interesting because like one of those things where it's like I'm gutted for the sense that he was on championship teams. He lost, I believe he lost his streak now.
No, he didn't.
I don't know if they count.
He wasn't active.
Yeah, he technically wasn't active. That's what it was. So it didn't.
Yeah,
like it didn't count.
No, he hadn't reported to the Nets, so it doesn't.
Gotcha.
Count.
Okay, okay, that's good. And he played last night.
He played last night. Yeah.
He played a lot. Like a lot was running through him, which we'll get to.
Yeah, but I'm like sad for him because he got moved off of a playoff roster. You understand from Phoenix's perspective why they did that, but you know but he gets moved off the playoff roster. So you're sad from that perspective, but from like a quality of life standpoint, there's also the element where now he lives in now he's going to be in Brooklyn, and he's got two of his boys like just across the East River from him. So there's some good things there for Bridges too. So I'm like from a personal standpoint, I think he'll have some fun and I think he'll enjoy himself. And it'll be a lot closer to home. So there's all of that kind of playing a role for me. So I wouldn't go as far to say that I feel bad for
and here's the thing: the Nets are also 10 games above 500.
I was gonna say they're a playoff team too.
Yeah, so even if they and they're gonna take a step back, it might not I expect them to at least be in the play-in situation to have a chance to get in. And I don't know, this is Mikal Bridges' team, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
I mean, you could say, oh, maybe it's Ben Simmons, but he's coming
No,
off the
it's
bench.
not.
And
Stop.
I know. I'm just trying to be nice to him.
No,
he doesn't.
Don't be nice to him.
But realistically, it's Mikal and Spencer Dinwiddie and Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson's team. It's just it's a fun team to just see, like Nick Claxton. It's just a fun team, and they can be, if they go 500 the rest of the way, they're still a playoff team, and then you just have a playoff series of Mikal Bridges where, hey, Mikal, be the number one guy and see what you can do.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Oh, sorry, Rachel. Yeah, what do you got?
Oh no, I was just gonna say on Bridges, right? They've been having it's wild because we're not close to Phoenix, so we don't really see it, but he meant a lot to that fan base.
Yeah.
He was really popular among the Phoenix fan base. I think similarly, not as nationally popular as Josh Hart, but really popular among the Phoenix fan base. But it's funny because as soon as all this stuff started happening, he's been all over social too, being yo, where my boys at? I saw him, Josh, Jalen on Twitter, going back and forth about where they're going to have their first New York City dinner together. It's going to be really fun for them, I think. And it's going to be, I even saw
they'll probably go to Chipotle.
Yeah, they can go to Chipotle and use Josh's gold card.
I think Mikal has one too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
They could treat Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen, we got your Chipotle tonight. We got you. I mean, I think Chris, you also made the joke. I think I made the joke too. Can't wait to see them all in Murray Hill at Gem Saloon. So that'll be hilarious. But I doubt that'll actually happen.
I doubt that will.
No,
but that would be
point,
hilarious. Because also
though.
you have Pat Farrell, who lives down by me. You have, I won't say where so that people can't find us, but because obviously I'm worried about stalkers because I'm so famous. Pat lives down here. Henry's here. Tim Delaney, which I don't know if they're boys with Tim Delaney or not, but I have seen Pat and Tim Delaney out together. So if Jalen, Josh, Mikal link up with those guys, it's literally just the 2016, 2018 team. Any bar they go to is just going to get thrown back to Kelly circa 20,
We have to discuss Timmy the Hips Delaney.
All right, but table him. We'll come back to him. I don't want to. We need to talk about Bridges. We got
to talk about him for a little bit.
But all about to say though, Mikal too. I saw a quote from him earlier today. He was "Yeah, those are my boys, but when I get on the court, they're not my boys anymore." So I thought that was hilarious too. It was a quote on ESPN NBA account, but I just thought that was funny because I was that is the mindset of a competitor. So I think actually Brooklyn will be a good place for him.
It is. Willie's gonna, and Willie mentioned this earlier too. There's so much what Bridges was playing Wow. The team Bridges was playing on in Phoenix was obviously a good team, but he was very much playing like second and third fiddle to CP3, to Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, not quite as much the past few years, but he is very much going to be like a featured character in Brooklyn. Him and Spencer Dinwiddie, and you saw it last night. It was interesting. So he picked the number one. So he was wearing the number one, which is kind of cool. But there was so much that was of the offense that was running through Bridges. Like they clearly want him to play a central role, and they're going to build a lot of that offense around him. So it's going to be an awesome opportunity, assuming the Knicks or the Nets stay somewhat relevant, which there are enough interesting pieces on that team to be relevant. Like they've got enough people to stay in the playoff hunt. And look, if the team's good and in the playoff hunt, you're still in a major market, it's going to do. And if you can deliver on that, all it's going to do is increase his production overall and ultimately lead to another bigger contract at the end of this too. So I think that it's going to be a good thing for Mikal. Change is always a weird thing, but you got to be excited for him.
23 and 6 yesterday. So to your point, a lot running through him. He was the leading scorer on the Nets side of things.
Totally.
They got embeated though.
They
Big
did.
time.
They
Yeah.
did. Yeah. It's a tough ask, but what are you going to do? Okay, that was Bridges. Do you want to talk about hips?
We got to talk about the hips, man.
All
So if you're an OG listener to this podcast, you know that Rob and I were joking all the time about how like Tim Delaney, he's got the beard going. He looks like a finance guy who just can't wait to graduate college just to go work for a finance job in New York City and be out the Murray Hill bars. So all of this trades and everyone coming to New York sent me on this like search, and I found the guy on LinkedIn. And sure as shit, he works for Wells Fargo in New York City.
Absolutely phenomenal.
So there's definitely a non-zero chance that guy's been out at the Gem Saloon or the Flying Cock or wherever those places are in Murray Hill. So I fucking lost it when I saw that.
I literally went on a date once. Like I was seeing a guy and we went out to West Village. Was it East Village, West Village? I don't even remember. We were in a village, one of them.
Very different.
Yeah, I know. But we were out and literally we're like at the bar ordering drinks, and who walks in but like Pat, Henry, and Tim Delaney. Like they were all together, and I shit you not. And the guy, my face I was just like you can't see me because I'm not on camera, but I made a face. The guy I was with was like, what? He's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just know all of those people. Like I would not expect to be at given any bar you could be in New York on a Friday night. Like
yeah.
I picked the one that they all happened to just walk into. It was just very funny. But yeah, so I have seen it. I've seen it with my own two eyes.
There you go. Love it.
Should we talk about Sadiq?
Yeah.
So Sadiq's in a weird spot. I think it'll end up being okay. But so Sadiq Bey was traded as part of a technically 4-team deal, but 3-team deal between the Warriors, Pistons, and Hawks. The Warriors sent James Wiseman to the Pistons. Pistons sent Sadiq Bey to the Hawks. And the Hawks sent 5 second-round picks to the Warriors, which then the Warriors sent to Portland to get Gary, and Kevin Knox was also part of that deal, to get Gary Payton the second. The issue is Gary Payton II failed his physical.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this.
Yeah. And so the Warriors have until 9:30 today on Sunday to decide whether or not to just accept the fact that he failed his physical and let the trade go through, or rescind the trade, which would then have to rescind everything going back through it, which would then send Sadiq back to Detroit. I don't think the Warriors will end up doing that. I feel like realistically what will happen is Portland will just the Warriors sent 5 second-round picks. I'm sure the Warriors will get to keep 2 or 3 of them, and then they'll just move on with their life, because the Warriors also needed to move Wiseman, and it saves them money. So I don't think the Warriors are going to, at the end of the day, I think they're just going to deal with it and just try to recoup some things back. But the reason that the failed physical was important is because, I don't know, there's rumors that the Portland team or the Portland medical staff
so weird
tried to force Gary Payton to the second to play, and gave him, I don't know, some shot that makes your body numb and made him play through it. I don't know all hearsay at this point.
Toradol.
Yeah, Toradol. Yeah, I don't know. Something for horses, probably.
I think you're right though. The Warriors want Peyton as well too. They'll figure out a way to make that.
Even if it's not for this year, they want him. He'll be back. They loved him when they didn't want to let him go. So I think they'll take it. They'll just try to get their money back. But so Sadiq is now, let's just assume he's going to be in Atlanta. Which is, Sadiq's had an interesting career because I think he was more in a catch and shoot 3-point role his first season, and he excelled at it. And then he's tried to add more to his game, which he has. I mean, he scored 50 in the NBA, so he's he can score, but he isn't passing the ball well and gets kind of tunnel vision and isn't super efficient. So you kind of, what the Pistons are dealing with is a inefficient, he's not a chucker, but ball dominant player. And on the Pistons, he kind of had the room to do that. The Hawks, he won't. And the Hawks,
because they already have that guy.
He'll probably come off the bench. It really depends. I mean, the Hawks are already running out Young, Bogdanovich, Hunter, Collins, Okongwu. There's a bunch of stuff that they could be doing, AJ Griffin. So the Hawks now have 4 wings, but Sadiq Bey is very good and is a high-level NBA player. So I'm interested to see how the Hawks decide to use him. I'd imagine he's coming off the bench and he'll just be catch and shoot, running the second unit with whoever, or I skipped DeJounte Murray, whoever the Hawks decide to however they decide to stagger it. But it's just an interesting because I feel at this point last year, Sadiq Bey was on the precipice of potentially being a $90-100 million player. And now it's probably dropped to a $50-60 million player, which I would love to be a $50-60 million player. But it's been so he's had a bit of a weird year.
Yeah, totally agree. So hopefully he gets his act together, gets a little bit more efficient. So we'll see, I guess.
And I don't know what it is, but he's always when he every year he starts very, very slow. And then as the season goes on, he picks up. So he was getting more efficient in Detroit. I imagine making the game simpler for him in Atlanta, where it's just I'm pretty sure it'll just be catching and shooting and defending, and doing that off of Trae Young, who's going to take 2, sometimes 3 people. He's going to get a lot of open looks. So I imagine his shot quality increases too.
Yeah. I think those are the big moves that we talked about for the Nova guys. Kyle Lowry was also talked about around the trade deadline, did not get moved. So he stays on the Heat. Continue to produce at a relatively high level and still be valuable. I think he's injured at the moment, but yeah, so he didn't get moved. And I don't know. A lot of Nova guys, a lot of
Dante.
talk.
Dante's still
That's true. Yeah. The Warriors like him. So
and we'll see if they can keep him.
I think Dante will get a good contract.
He's going to get paid.
Well, we made up for the lack of heart monitors on the last several episodes with that length of that one. So
it's very true.
I think we can move on. All right. The week that was, we won 2 games. We won 2 games. And so back to 12-13, 1 game under 500. To get back to 500, we have to beat Butler on Tuesday, which should be Valentine's Day, V-Day, if you will. Should be able to win that one, although they beat Xavier. So who the fuck knows? The Big East Conference has taken a fucking hard left turn.
Any given Sunday.
It just it was. We seemed to get getting some sensibility to okay, here's the top tier, here's the bottom tier, and then here's the middle tier. And now all of a sudden we're back to absolute chaos because Providence goes into St. John's yesterday and loses. Xavier goes into Butler on Friday night and loses. Marquette goes to UConn, who had been struggling, arguably, for a while. They get absolutely blown out at UConn. And then UConn turns around and loses to Creighton, which I don't think was a surprise, but still just chaos everywhere. Hard to win on the road in the Big East. And then Seton Hall, who had been climbing up the bracket, if you will, kind of in a lot of people's next 4 out situation type right there. And Villanova comes and beats them yesterday at the Wells Fargo Center. So the Big East has just become a cluster. And so it's kind of the whole thing's up for grabs. If you had to ask me at this moment in time, I think Creighton's the team to beat in the conference, which is hilarious how after all of this, we've kind of wound up where we started. But it kind of looks like, other than Marquette, it's going to shake out, other than Marquette and other than us, to be honest, like it's going to kind of shake out where this conference is kind of like where the preseason projections kind of ended up. They're going to end up being kind of right.
Yeah, if you flip Marquette and us, it's probably exactly what people thought.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting how this has all kind of happened. And by the way, we say that as of February 12th. In about a week from now, the whole thing's going to be different all over again. So, but kind of digress on the Big East. Villanova, we said going into this week, and we're not going to do any rants this week because we don't need to. But like we said going into this week, hey, we got to win the next 3 games at home. If there is a time for this program to figure something out and to do it, this is the show me 3 games. Show me that this team can do it. We're 2 games in so far. They've kind of done that to a large degree. Played a tight overall game versus DePaul, who shot well early, but we kind of got wrestled control of that game and put them away, and played really well down the stretch against DePaul late on the aforementioned Jalen Brunson jersey retirement night. And then versus Seton Hall, really kind of owned that game after the first like 10 minutes, really owned like the middle 25 minutes of that game. And then at the end there was a little bit of whatever. And I guess you guys want to have a discussion on it, but I'm going to put my stamp on it. We've won 12 games this year. And so I'm not nitpicking any of them. So we have plenty to nitpick from the 13 losses. So the 12 wins, I'm not going to sit here and whatever. It was annoying being there live and having to deal with kind of the finish of that game. It was very frustrating because we're up like 53-39, I think, at one point in time. And to see that go down to 57-53, I never felt like we would lose, but I just like am sitting there and I'm like constantly thinking about KenPom, and I'm just like, man, this would be a great KenPom situation right here. And we kind of salted that away, and Seton Hall ended up backdoor covering the spread in the process. So if you're a gambler, you were pretty upset by that.
Yeah, I think you just said it. Like, once again, nothing a lot. Like, we won, so whatever. It was just very annoying, and the decision making down the stretch, to be fair, is consistent with our decision making that we've made basically throughout the entire year. But there was just, I don't even blame the like home run pass from Slater to Whitmore. I get trying to do that. It's Slater take a little bit less juice on it, but I can't blame it. It was actually like sneaky, like a fantastic play call by Neptune on that inbounds, because there was like a screen, Cam drove forward and then spun and then sprinted. It was actually really well designed. We just couldn't complete it.
By the way, Brandon Slater makes that home run pass.
Yeah, he's done it all the time. So I'm not like, that wasn't really where I was upset about. I think Daniels had struggled a little bit just down the stretch. The turnovers.
I come back to this a lot. Like, it's really frustrating, like, to watch a 5th-year senior, because or 6-year senior. Like, it's frustrating because you're just getting to a point where it's just like, okay, guys, I'm sorry. Like, it's not coaching because for like 5 years, he got coached on this, 4 years in Villanova system. Yeah. Right? Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're just making a boneheaded play. It's a player making a boneheaded play. Yeah. He does it too often.
And like, not even the turnovers, but it was like the 1:40 left on the game clock, and he passed up an open 3, which he should have done, and then drove back down and then shot a fadeaway with like 20 seconds left on the clock. And it was kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, that was the moment where I was like, all right, now we're just playing stupid. Mm-hmm. But we were able to recover from that. There was moments like, this probably was like 3.5 minutes left or something like that. Dixon got the ball over half court and no one came and got it from Dixon. So they pressured Dixon, and then eventually a turnover happened. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, Dixon was handling the ball at half court. What do we expect? It was frustrating, but I don't want that frustration to take away from the fact that like we played phenomenal defense. And like some of it was ugly, but I think it was just phenomenal defense. And then most importantly, what I love to see, and this is why I think where my frustration came from, is Seton Hall got within 1 and we immediately slammed the door. and we did it on defensive plays. We forced like 5 straight turnovers. It was Slater with like a bucket, Cam's backdoor, Cam's cut, which Cam was a great cutter, which anyone who's like, oh, I don't understand how Cam's going to play in the NBA. He's just going to do that off better players and get 6 dunks a game. Regardless, Cam had a cut, and then Slater got another steal. And we just like locked in defensively for a stretch of like 4 minutes. And I was like, that's it. That was what I wanted to see defensively. It was great to watch. Like that stretch gave me the most, like if we can do that 2 times a game for 4 minutes and play decent offense, I like our chances in the Big East tournament. That's what I wanted to see, that stretch of defense, because that was the most locked in we have been all year, pressure wise, flying around wise, staying guarded, staying on our man wise. That was Villanova defense that I was really proud to see. And I think I just got a little bit frustrated because we kind of like eschewed that with like how the game ended.
Yeah. But if you were to tell me that at some point in time in this game, we'd be up 53-39 and Justin Moore would have 0 points at that time, I would tell you you're crazy.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to take away that was good. And the overall big picture here is, we said, as I mentioned this before, this is the show me time of this thing. Because like the at-large bid, unless, barring a win out, like is probably long sailed, right?
If you look at my other screen right now, I was like, what does it take with a win out? Bar Torvik, I love this website, has like a team cast, so it allows you to project it for like each game and what your like where you fit in the tournament based off of all these projections. If we win out, it projects us, and it doesn't take in the Big East tournament into account. We are the last team in the last 4 in.
Oof,
if we win out.
That's terrible.
That's but that, hey,
that's an at-large.
It's on the table. So look, I think now at this point, we can look at the last 2 weeks in a better context and say, yeah, okay, this team is improving, right? Like this team has improved over the last 2 weeks. Like it didn't pan out to wins the previous week, 2 of those games on the road, but it did pan out into wins this week. DePaul, obviously one of them, but Seton Hall is Seton Hall the best win of the season? It might be. So yeah, it's rough for sure. But here we go. Now we got Butler this week, and is it Providence at the end of the week? Providence at the end of the week. So I guess let's talk a little bit about that. We've finally had 25 games into the season, our first fully healthy roster. First time of guys who played.
Yep.
Like Longino's back. Looked a little rusty yesterday. Got a haircut.
Did not like the haircut,
which is
really
hard
to really like his longer hair.
Yeah, I think he plays better with longer hair.
I think so too. Yeah.
But he's back, and so we have full complement of players, and so we got a Butler on Tuesday night. I know that they just beat Xavier. They did it at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Weird game, weird call to finish the game, everything. I'm going to choose to ignore that and say that we are going to beat them at the Pavilion. I'm just going to put it on the line. We're going to have a 10-plus point victory at the Pavilion. It's a revenge game for us. They've already handed us their loss at Hinkle. We're playing much better basketball than we did back then. I actually think the fact that they didn't have Manny Bates in that last game versus us hurt us. So
that's a spin zone.
Yes, that's a spin zone. I think that it forced their offense to run more like through the fact that we couldn't cut over a screen. So we got buried from deep. Now their offense is going to run more through the interior, and I think we're actually more well suited to handle that. So I actually think that this game I think we're going to comfortably win versus Butler. And then it comes down to the Providence game at the end of the week. And it's really like the Providence and the Xavier game, which are Saturday and Tuesday in back-to-back at Providence, at Xavier, which, talking about the show me thing, if we win this game, we get to 13-13. Got to win one of those 2 games again, we're talking about show me something. You got to win one of those 2 games, and you're going to play 2 ranked teams on the road. So, well, Providence won't be ranked after this week, but after losing to St. John's yesterday. But that's kind of where I feel like it. Willie, Rob, thoughts?
I don't know. I'm still skeptical is not even the right word. I'm just like not even excited. Like it's good we won 2 games this week. There are 2 games that we talked about. we expected to win. You should win. This week, if you go 2-0, it's a little bit more interesting. But to me, the team, yeah, I guess they're better than what they were. Like that's not. I don't know how much that's saying at this point.
No, look,
It's-
I mean, we're
it's-
talking
it's-
about a 12 and 13 team. No one here
Yeah.
is sitting here.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
one's sitting
yeah.
here getting their hopes up realistically.
No. It's just tough for me because I watch it. I'm like, yeah, this team is better. Is this team good? No, it's still not. It's still not good. Like we still let Seton Hall back in that. Yeah, we closed it out, and I think Willie's point is spot on. It's good to see the defense step up there and be able to close that out, which we haven't been able to do. Is there a whole lot about this that gets me excited? Not really. So I'm like, okay, like let's see what the next couple games bring. You know, I think what I'm trying to solve for at this point is, can this team get good enough so that I feel like there's some kernel of hope that we could reel off 4 in a row in the Big East tournament. And to be very clear, that world does not exist yet in my mind. Like we won our couple games, we got everybody back healthy. We clearly can't just flip the switch and be a top 10 team again. So there's still a lot to see, because right now, based on what I've seen with this team, we probably win 1, maybe 2 games in the Big East tournament, and that's it. So hoping against hope here is a little bit of a fool's errand in my mind. So that's kind of where I am, I guess.
I'm going to take it from that slightly depressing tone and try to turn it up just a bit to the optimism. I like agree with Rob. Where I'm at is if we win these 2 and we beat Providence in Providence, then I'll start to then I'm all right. Well, what does this team look like? That's where I feel a little bit more confident. You have to beat Butler. You just have to beat Butler.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're thinking about this week. Realistically, it's can we beat Providence or Xavier? Can we get a marquee road win? If we can get one of those, I'll feel decent about winning 1, maybe 2 games at the Big East tournament. If we get both of them, then I'm like, all right. If we get both of them, our outlook on the season completely changes. And then it's okay. You have Creighton, Seton Hall, Connecticut. You have to beat Seton Hall and then win one of those 2, and we're in a much better place. It all starts with Butler on Tuesday, having to take care of business versus them, and then we're projected to lose our next 5 games or after Butler. Like Butler's the last projected win on the schedule. So it's, can you take 3 out of 5?
Right.
And I can't see, and I think one of those 3 just has to be Providence or Xavier. So if we win both, I start to feel a little bit, the word hope comes into my vocabulary a little bit more.
I think if you win 4 out of 5, I think then you're basically saying like we could definitely make a run in Big East tournament, because then you're basically have knocked off the teams that you would need to knock off again.
If you win 4 out of 5, I think you're like get to the Big East semifinals and you have a case to be an at-large realistically. With the 4 that you have to beat, where it's like it's 3
Rob,
quad like 1 games.
Play out the scenario.
Yeah, please, let's play out the scenario.
So you beat Butler, so then you're 13 and 13. Does it go by record? Does it go by sniff test on the record, right?
Yeah.
You win 4 of 5, you get to 17 and 14, right? You win 2 games in the Big East tournament to get to the semifinal Friday. You're 19 and 15. Realistically, our Ken Palm is 68, our net is 85. You win the games that we said, you're looking at a Ken Palm probably in like the 50 range and a net probably in the 40, 50 range, which is objectively potentially an at-large thing. And then you factor in the fact that you have, Villanova can argue that, okay, they won all those games now when they were fully healthy. So this is actually the real team. I'm not saying Willie didn't say we're going to get an at-large in that scenario. Willie said you're in the conversation for an at-large, and I agree with that point.
It's still not having, I don't know. It still seems like a pretty low number of wins in my mind. I don't know what the numbers are historically, but
you've added 3 or 4 quad 1 wins by doing that.
Yeah, but that's fine. But you're still at like 18, 19 wins. Like, okay, it's not a good number.
But I think you're thinking of this like, yeah, it's not a good number, but like that's what at large, like 11 seeds at large just look like. Like that's just that 18 win and they're 18-15. That's what they've always looked like. You're not getting like 23 win teams that are the last seed, that are last seed there. So like we would be profiling to look like that. I'm just trying to map out what this would look like because I love this website. All right, so I'm just doing so like let's say it's beat Butler, beat Providence, lose to Xavier, win those three. And then I'm putting in the conference tourney. I'm not doing the math, but let's say we have Seton Hall in round one, potentially.
Wouldn't be Hall.
Give me who you think it might be.
It would be like Butler.
As a what seed?
No, so we would, in that situation, we'd be a 6. So it'd be Georgetown. It'd be Georgetown in round one.
Oh, well, that makes our case even tougher. But all right, so we have Georgetown in round one, and then who do you think would take?
So then we play the 3 seed. So call that.
I have it as Marquette right now. It might be Xavier.
Put Xavier.
Okay, so then let's say we beat Xavier, which that's a whole. We already lost to them in this situation, but like let's say we.
But we've lost to them. We lost them twice, so maybe at the Big East tournament something different.
And then championship, we'll call it Creighton.
It wouldn't be championship. We'd be a 6 seed. So we gotta play the semifinal Friday. We play the 2 seed, who would probably be Marquette or Creighton.
All right, so we'll put Marquette here, and are we calling that a win?
No, we're calling that a loss.
Okay,
that's
so
where it ends.
There, it ends there. That puts us at 19-15. Ooh, number 1 on first team out.
Yeah,
number 1. So you would need help, but number 1 on first team out in that situation.
Yeah.
So, but
Rob's just like, what website are you using?
I'm just like,
I'll send you it.
But anyway, look, the point is that this is not what we think is going to happen. The point is like, this is what it needs to look like for this to even be a conversation. But let's just talk about some of the positive things that I've seen in the last couple of weeks. Number one, we got to talk about Brendan Hausen, who has become, who versus DePaul was great. I don't think he got a shot off versus Hall. If he did, I didn't remember it, which could have been my fault. But versus DePaul, he was awesome from offensively. But the other thing that's changed is that defensively, he's a much better player, and he's much more reliable. And he's getting minutes that are kind of like very similar to Mark Armstrong's minutes. And in addition to that, Mark Armstrong has actually started to be utilized in a defensive role because he's got quick hands. He can turn them. He can turn people over. So his minutes have kind of, as the team has gotten healthier, his minutes have kind of stagnated a little bit. But Mark Armstrong has been playing well in the minutes that he's been utilized, and he's gotten better defensively. The development of the freshmen, Cam Whitmore has always been Cam Whitmore, but the development of the freshmen on this team has actually been a little minor, kind of somewhat missed narrative, so to speak, because they've developed quite a bit, and they've actually helped this team a lot. So that's something that we have to point out.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Cam's Cam. What I love about Hausen, and I've said this before on this podcast, is I don't think I've ever seen a person come off the bench and hit threes. Like his first shot is made all the time. And it's not like he runs around for 5 minutes and then he's like warm. He comes off the bench cold. First shot is always good. So I love that from him. He's getting better defensively. It's super interesting where I think they're almost opposites of Hausen and Armstrong, where Hausen is getting better defensively. Like I'll say like this: Hausen's getting better offensively enough to where, and defensively where he has like a level of like we're able to trust him being out there. We're not always playing zone when he's out there. Like he's like playing man to man. He's understanding things. Mark is interesting where Mark has raised his defensive floor high enough to where like I think every like the 15 to 18 minutes we have him out there, it's actually for defense. And anything he gives on offense, that's when we start to see more minutes. So if like if we play Butler and Mark's like kind of on fire, he might play 20 to 25. But if he's not, and it's just like out there, he's going to play his 15-ish minutes, but it's going to be because of his defense, his quick hands. The fact that he is a one-man press break, like he can break a press. Just like if you give him a step, he's going to beat you to the corner and he's going to dribble it out and get to past the timeline. So I'm very happy with the development I've seen. I like want them to continue to like work on it in the summer and get better, because like those two are just the future. Like that's just what it is. Like they're the future.
Yeah, and one of the reasons, just to be clear, one of the reasons why I'm like really cheering for this team to find a way to get, look, NCAA tournament berth is like a really pipe dream type scenario here, like, but like to find your way into the NIT or something, turn the narrative, flip the script around on this season, is because ending on a high note will be good for this team's off season.
Yep.
This team needs to end
That's
on
true.
a high note with how this season's gone, the narrative circulating around this team, the conversation circulating around this team, the fan conversation, all the things that we hit on last week. This team needs to end on a high note so that there's something to latch onto for next season. Give some people some thought, like, hey,
Yeah,
Villanova
that's fair.
can be Villanova, and you came to the right place, because too much garbage has gone on and stuff has been talked about this year for that to be the case. So like you need to end on a high note. So I'm rooting for this team to end on that kind of note, because that's the thing. You don't want to have a situation where things kind of end in like a really shitty way, and then people start to think about the portal and you get turmoil, and then we got to rebuild a team via the portal, which we got to go to the portal regardless. But like, you don't want to be in that situation.
We want to go to the portal for like 2 to 3 players, not 4 to 6.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Yeah,
And
that's a good way to say it.
And the other thing the other couple of things I want to point out, Longino coming back, we already touched on him. The fact that this team played pretty well without Moore being very good. He's good defensively.
Yeah.
And I think he pulled 7 or 8 boards down and a few assists. But the fact that this team played well without Moore contributing from a scoring standpoint is really gives me a lot to like.
Yeah.
The offense has run more through Dixon. It took us reason why we stagnated early is that we weren't getting to Dixon. And then we turned the game on its head once we started to get the ball down low and let Dixon go to work. And the fact that the team has figured out to do that, like, which I don't know why it took 25 games or 23 games to do it, but the fact that we finally figured out that we have to play inside out is critical. And you're actually starting to see a little bit touch better shooting as a result of it. So that's big. And the other thing that I think has helped Hazen's game from a 3-point standpoint is Justin. Justin coming back and being good, draws defenders, and he finds Hazen open, in the corner, what have you. So all of that is, looks good. And the fact, watching the game live yesterday, the reason Hazen didn't get a shot up, or if he got one up, I just don't remember it. The reason why that's the case is because the scout on him is out, and it's basically like, if he's on the floor, you better have a defender within 5 feet of him at all times. So the ball could be on the other side of the court, and he's still got a defender who's he's drawn closer to him. That actually is going to be huge for us.
Could be
down
valuable,
down the stretch, because it's spreading the floor, and now we have more room for Dixon and Moore and Caleb to operate on the other side of the court.
I think there's some really unique things that we could start getting into in Hazen on the floor of like you're saying. Like, I think there's a world of like utilizing Hazen as, just frankly as a decoy, and like running actions to his side, but realistically looking for things coming from the weak side and looking for like cam cutting off of like, I can get into like the details of what it would look like, but like there's just a lot of stuff we could do with Hazen on the floor, because like you said, like teams are essentially face guarding him and just don't let him get the ball, because if he gets it and he has 6 feet of space, it's going up and it's gonna go in. He's the best shooter I've seen at Villanova.
Wow,
I'm not gonna change it.
Yeah.
That's just it.
I agree with that.
He's really
I haven't been excited. I haven't been this excited about a shooter in a very, very
Gillespie.
long time.
But Gillespie might be the only one you could point to.
I was never that excited about Gillespie.
I think Gillespie's is different. Gillespie's almost felt like scoring, not shooting, if that makes sense. Like, it was like a different thing. Yeah, regardless.
I meant like as a freshman. Like, Gillespie as a freshman. It's like, okay, this guy, he's like, he'll stand in the corner, he'll hit a 3. Hazen's release is like,
he gets it up so quick.
Lightning quick. The dude is just full stop a shooter. Like, that is his role on the team and will be going forward. And yeah, there hasn't been somebody like that who came out freshman year just guns a blazing when they got time, ready to go. I honestly can't think of anybody. Like not Jenkins, not Corey Stokes. Like I can't think of anybody.
Yeah.
And
So
also, just real quick, Gillespie was playing next to 6 NBA players.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, well, that's a not insignificant part of the whole situation.
I'd be so curious what Hausen could have done on that team.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The team didn't need any more.
The team didn't need anything else, but
unreal.
So look, Longino coming back is going to help this team defensively. I think pound for pound, I think he's our best defender. That's my belief. So the fact that the defense has improved significantly in the last several games since Moore's been back. I think, Willie, you pulled it up before, top 50 defense since Moore's been back.
Yep, 51 actually, but yeah.
Okay, no, not 51, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a far cry from what it was before. We've jumped into the top 100 defensively, so that's to your point, is this team has improved significantly defensively. Offense has kind of gone a little bit the other way, but I think that's a little bit just like these guys just got to get a little bit hot. That's the one thing that that's the pipe dream element of this, is that there will be a little bit of a shooting regression to mean towards the back end of the season in a good way for us. But I'm hoping, that's a hope and a wing and a prayer, right? At this point, I mean, you're just hoping that what you've historically seen from some of these shooters is what will ultimately play out.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens offensively, but at least the defense has started to lock up, which will keep us in all these games. We play slow anyway, so it's going to be a lot of root canals in the last 7 games down the stretch here. So that's what you should all expect. All right. Anyone have anything else?
I think good on my end.
Go Birds is what I got.
We're recording this before the Eagles play, so and it won't get posted till after. So hoping that the Eagles get this done. I'm definitely rooting for the Birds. Rob's got reasons to root for the Birds.
Absolutely.
Happy wife, happy life. Willie's got his Eagles jersey on. I am a little bit more on the agnostic side, but my time that I spent in Philadelphia has me as a definitely leaning Eagles big time today. So I'm all good there. All right. That's all we got this week. We'll be back. With a fun episode next week. We're pretty excited about. We're gonna do a crossover episode. We got to get the time iron down, but we're gonna do a crossover episode with a very fun Xavier podcast that we'll be talking a little bit more about on Twitter as the week plays out. So, all right. Thank you everybody for listening, and as always, let's go Nova.